All right. Well, what might a healthcare company, a REIT, a real estate investment trust, and a South American oil giant have in common? Well, not much fundamentally, but our stock picker of the day says you can find some good values in all three. Let's welcome in Andrew Gordon, Investors Daily Edge Investment Director. Andrew, welcome to Fox Business. Thank you. Let's start off with your pharmaceutical pick. Nothing around the deal today, but you simply think that Baxter has got some nice cash flow and a pretty solid business going forward. Why is that?
Yeah, Baxter is a pretty good med tech company. It's a global leader in the treatment of hemophilia, the blood disorders, immune disorders, and vaccines. And the thing about this company is it has a remarkable record of growth. It has beaten Wall Street expectations for 16 quarters in a row. So it has demonstrated the ability to grow profits, grow sales, and it's setting itself up for a pretty good 2009.
What's the risk to Baxter?
Well, the risk is it's in a recession-resistant sector, healthcare, and I think that's very, very important. But it's not recession-proof. If the economy gets quite worse, despite the broad trends, demographic trends, and riding on the boomer trend, it could see a hit. But right now, it has a pretty good balance of sales across the board, and domestically and globally. And the risk is much less in this company than most companies out there.
All right, moving on. Annaly. Now, NLY. I'm a bit familiar with this name, and a REIT, a mortgage REIT, I think mostly in the apartment sector here. Tell us about this company at a time when we hear about all the bad news in real estate. Why a company related to real estate as a pick?
Yes, in fact, Annaly is a real estate investment trust. But it has a very simple, safe, and very conservative investment strategy. It borrows low and invests in the highly liquid, safe Freddie and Fannie bonds. And, these bonds have always had the implicit backing of the U.S. government. But on September 7th, when the ex-Secretary of Treasury Paulson stated that the U.S. government would not let these bonds fail, the government would protect these bonds. These Freddie and Fannie bonds became that much safer. So it is investing in very, very safe bonds. It uses a conservative leverage ratio of 1 to 8. It gets a spread of 2%. So at a 2%, it makes 18% in spread income. And most of that goes back to the shareholders in the form of a dividend. The dividend yield for this company is a remarkable and very nice 13.5%.
Our next company and your next pick, Petrobras, recently saying it thinks it may have found one of the biggest offshore oil reserves of all time. There's been some debate about how much they would have actually found or how much they can get out. How much does that find, though, which is still untested and unproven, fall into your thesis about buying the stock, or do you like it fundamentally and that's just gravy?
Well, it's part of the picture. You can't dismiss it because, the preliminary number is $33 billion for this offshore field in the Santos Basin. That's the size of the Mexican Cantarell field, which is a huge field. It would make this field the third largest in the world. But as you say, it's not proven yet. They have to do some more research and nail down those numbers. But even if it's a half or a third of that, it's still a huge field. And on top of that, they have the offshore Tupi Basin. Now, that's 5 to 8 billion, and that's a pretty solid number. They're going to begin production from that field later in the year in October. And so, Petrobras is just sitting on so much oil. It becomes a great, company to invest in when it's compared to the other major oil companies. They're having trouble replacing their reserves. For Petrobras, they have more than enough. Their challenge isn't replacing reserves, but to turn those reserves into productive fields. Okay. And that's their challenge, but they're certainly willing to spend the money to do it.
Andrew Gordon, Investment Director of the Investors Daily Edge newsletter. Andrew, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
All right.